That's the problem we had before. It's like
Yeah, I don't know why.
you bring up.
It's about teachers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, from the LCAP committee. Oh, yeah. I think they're going to do some of the preservation.
Oh, nice. Gonna be a long night.
Well, it's the people that served
Yeah,
all year.
that belongs.
Yeah, that were available for tonight.
You're on that committee as well, right, Mrs. De Leon? You're on that committee as well? The LCAP?
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
And nobody ever wants to sit in the front row.
Big whiteboard. Yeah, big white. Oh wait. Oh, Zoom.
Yeah. There you go. Sorry about that.
Hi. Now we won't have students for the rest of the summer. They'll be gone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They get to enjoy their summer off. Good for them. They get to enjoy their summer off.
They do.
Good
Well,
for the
some of them
kids.
have to go to summer school. Or choose to. Or choose other things. Yeah.
And do you mind skipping out while I go to the bathroom real fast? I don't have my own bathroom here, which is I hate.
I don't think we did the cavalry, so yeah, and school's out at 12:15 or something like that. So well, I was gonna send them anyway because we kind of normally have done that, but me, Greg, Manuel, and Darrell, Margaret, I usually tell them to kind of fan out, but
Yes, ma'am.
I don't really know how needed you are,
Yeah.
but we don't need to show now. So
Right.
So we'll send Renee and tell
if we need a whole lot more than that, I'm terrible. So I don't think there's any
Oh, you just
chatter
noticed the
about
parking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually the
Okay.
kids are
Yeah.
going to get
Yeah,
out
they
there.
just
I just got back, so I gotta get
the hard part is holding it back at lunch.
tomorrow night. Okay.
So
Okay.
if you guys want to go to West, that would be
Okay,
great.
Jim.
All right, we'll do like, we'll send like 3 or 4, I'll bring 3 or 4 people to work.
Yeah, that works.
Just at this minute, because do they even eat right?
Better. I'll have to find out because I don't know.
Hear me say that.
If they're a captive audience for lunch or not.
I call them to say that hey, make sure you can hear.
I'm not familiar with our minimum days for these because we might. I don't know. See, in Norwalk, we never did that. If it was a minimum day, lunch was available, but
Yeah, I think
the
that,
doors open and everybody took off. But they might not do that there. I don't know.
I can't remember. So it's periods 5 and 6 on Thursdays. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the 3 days?
Yeah, something like that. I'll find out. Julia posted the schedule.
Okay, we'll cover what?
That's fine. How's it going? You got the under or the over? You said under. You said under. Okay, so I've got over.
Isala, did Did you notice if Miss? I didn't either, but he could be sitting down.
Yeah. So,
That's all right.
but still,
Okay.
But the student rep will be here tonight.
The student rep.
No, she won't be here tonight.
Oh, she won't be.
No, they have senior activities tonight,
Oh.
so she'll be
There-
with her seniors.
Oh, coming in, I heard on the news there was a big fight by Metro.
Imagine, yes, they have.
Is it ours? I wonder. Wow.
It's all right. I didn't like Austin as much as Nashville. It's good.
Yeah, I can hear it.
You know, I'm not in a hurry to go back.
Kids.
But
Yeah.
it was fun. I mean,
That's right.
there's some good things to do, but have you been?
I've been to Nashville.
Nashville's fun. If I could move there, I should.
I worked in Nashville, but it was for a contract and I didn't really get out.
It's a fun city. One of my favorite places to go. But Austin was okay. It was just good barbecue and stuff like that. But there were some cool things to do. Just wouldn't go back. I'm just not really in a hurry to go back. So
Did you see the Heritage Parade on Saturday?
I wasn't able to make it.
Yeah, that's cool. A lot of our kids and parents were there.
I've seen videos.
Yeah, it was fun.
I
And then the city council honored our top scholars.
That's great.
It's great.
How are everyone doing today?
Love it.
Hi, everybody.
Did the ladies get to write up? Because I know that we had mentioned
you like
right?
Sprite or ginger ale?
Writing a part for the parade.
Oh, okay.
Is that what you guys end up doing?
Okay,
Oh, no.
good. There he is. Are the pretzels for the kids there?
They're in back.
And here's some chips or popcorn or you can snack on.
Yeah, that's right. Here. Hers and my, my copy that's all yellowed out. And yours probably tomorrow. Yes, my
Okay.
copy is mine. It's all,
Good.
mine's all written up.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right there. Let me just put this in.
Would you give us? Yeah, there's a plug back there.
We'll open the regular meeting of the Board of Education on June 10, 2019. May I have the Pledge of Allegiance by Scott Law, Director of Facilities and Projects Management, please?
He didn't call to order the time. One nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I open the meeting at 6:05 PM tonight. Thank you, Mr. Law, for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now may I have a roll call, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia,
Here,
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Present.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
Here.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta, present, and Governing Board Member Gomez.
Present. Okay, now we'll go to approve agenda June 10, 2019. May I have a motion to approve the agenda, a regular agenda meeting on June 10, 2019?
I'll move.
Sonia De Leon made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Yesenia Cuarenta second. Any discussion? Any changes?
Yes, I would like to request that item number 1.1A and 1.2A be removed.
You have a page number? Sorry.
87 and 88. Action item 87 and 89.
9.
close it otherwise.
Any discussions by any board members about this before I remove it from the agenda? No? Okay. So what, just to clarify, if we're moving it from the agenda, the way the resolutions were in the past will stay as they were, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any discussions about that? No. Okay. Let's take a vote. May I have a vote, please?
Yes. Governing Board Member Garcia,
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
Yes,
Governing Board Member Cuarenta,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes.
thank you.
So 5-0, motion passed to approve the regular meeting agenda. We'll go to study session meeting minutes from April 29th. May I approve the minutes of the study session held on April 29, 2019?
I'll move.
Okay, that's Vivian Hanson made the motion. May I have a second? Sonia De Leon made the second. Any discussion or questions? If none, may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia,
Here. Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
She was absent, so she still gets to vote?
Oh, yes.
Yes,
You know
yes.
what I was for that one.
yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
Yes,
Governing Board Member Cuarenta, yes. Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes, so it'll be a 4-0 vote because Linda Garcia was absent. So it was approved, the minutes of the study session held on April
I'm
29,
sorry.
2019.
Madam President,
Yes,
that was for the 29th.
that's correct.
I was there at the study on April.
April 29th.
Okay, you're
April.
correct.
yeah, you were not at
April,
that
you
one.
you were not at that one.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Now we're going to go to the study session meeting for May 6th. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the study session meeting held on May 6th?
I'll move.
Vivian Hanson made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll move, I'll second, sorry.
Yesenia Cuarenta made the second. Any questions, any discussions? I do have a question. On May 6th, I asked how many tutors are at the high school. Dr. Smith shared that the information will be provided to the school board. As of now, I have not received any information.
Go ahead.
Yes.
We submitted our Wednesday update. That should be making its way to the board soon. It was submitted last week, I believe.
So we'll get it next Wednesday?
This Wednesday.
This,
I
oh,
didn't-
this
yes,
Wednesday,
I did-
thank you.
Oh, you mean this one's, okay. Thank you on that. Okay, any other questions or comments? Oh, I do have another one. On page 20, the AQME meeting was not at Zamboni Middle School. I did not refer to what school it was at. So if we can take that out.
Madam President, I
Yes.
think that's in the next,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
Is it?
we're on May 6th.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes,
right. That's right.
on the
Thank you.
next one.
Thank you. I do have it there. Okay. Okay. So may I have any other discussions or questions? No? So may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
You have
Oh,
a
I did already.
motion and a second, Hanson, Cuenta?
Yes, that's right.
But you know what?
Yes. Yes, Board Member Garcia?
Yes.
Oh, no. I thought you had a question. Sorry about that. May I have a vote, please?
Yes. Governing Board Member Garcia,
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson,
Yes,
Governing Board Member Cuarenta, yes. Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. So that's a 5-0. We approve the minutes of the study session of May 6th. Now we'll go to the regular meeting minutes
Yes.
of May 13th. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on May 13th?
Aye.
So are you making the motion, Linda?
Oh, I'll make a motion.
Okay, sorry about that. Linda Garcia made the motion. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Vivian Hanson made the second. Any discussions or any questions?
Yes, I have a comment.
Okay?
On page 18, we discussed the resolution. And one of the things that I'm concerned about, the minutes being written and how they're written, it really doesn't reflect of what was said. If you look on page 18 on the top middle of the paragraph, it says, board member, she is concerned that if one votes against an agenda item, you're going to feel intimidated. What was not said, and I did state, is that my no is a no, and I keep it a no because teachers deserve better, deserve more. However, I said that in the future, I don't want any board members to feel intimidated because they voted no. That's what the minutes are for. The minutes are to record who voted and who voted against. So we have to like just take into consideration that we know that teachers got offended. Okay, they didn't go back, or they don't have the time because of their work schedules to go back and really analyze what was really said. And so it could be taken offensive. So we have to be considerate, and there are other resolutions that do state that it's only signed by the board president. I have yet to see another resolution or any resolution signed by Dr. Perez. Now, I did ask legal counsel, and legal counsel has yet to give me an update. Also on page 28 and 29, this was the conversation we had about term limits and how many questions there were. I can't exactly remember. I would have to go back to the tape and analyze, okay, how many questions there were. According to this document, it says 35. I know that President Gomez has stated, let's reduce that to 12. 3 board members had disagreed with the 12 questions. But I'm thankful that Board Member Gomez really does her homework and checked, and she said, look, the other 12 questions pertain to trustee. We're looking at whether our constituents want term limits or not. Then everybody followed through and said, yes, okay, we agree. But what reflects on these minutes, it reflects that Board Member Garcia came up with the idea of the 12 questions, when in fact it wasn't. It was agreed that the 24, 35 questions was enough, and we needed all that information. So I'm just concerned, and I've said this in January, that I'm concerned about how minutes are being taken. I'm just so glad that now everything's being recorded, and I hope now, since we're in the 21st century, we move on to live streaming this. So those are my only concerns.
Thank you. Anyone else? I do have one. Oh, Board Member Garcia, do you have any? Sorry, before I...
I don't have any.
Okay. On page 20, as I was mentioning before, the AQME meeting, I never mentioned that it was at Zamboni, and it was not at Zamboni, so if we could take that out. Also,
It was at Gaines.
yes, it was again.
Should have read Gaines.
Okay. I didn't even mention any school. I just said I attended.
That was actually at Jackson.
That's
Oh,
cool.
it was at Jackson.
Yeah, you're right.
It was Jackson.
But the thing is, I never mentioned any school. That's where I was going to. And then also for the where it says here, she attended the annual Who's dinner and added that it was nice to see people from other districts and the Tepic Sister City District. I actually said I attended the Dia de los Muertos, who was sponsored by the Tepic Sister Cities. So if we can have that corrected, that it was the Dia de Muertos that I attended. Right there, yeah.
Was it muertos or niños?
Oh, niños, sorry, Dia de los Niños, you're right. Okay, thank you for correcting me. Okay, any other corrections or discussions? No? Okay, so may I have a vote, please?
Governing Board Member Garcia,
Yes.
Governing Board Member De Leon,
Yes.
Governing Board Member Hanson.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Cuarenta.
Yes.
Governing Board Member Gomez.
Yes. Okay, so now we're going to move on to reports. So number 1 is the Student Board Representatives Activity Reports. Reports on school activities, including athletic, academic, and extracurricular activities. Yanet Lopez from Paramount High School will be the first one to come up.
Madam President, we have 2 students who are graduating this week and are unable to join us because of that. And that is Yanet Lopez and Samantha Avendano from Buena Vista. The other members are here from Paramount High School West Campus, Odyssey, and Paramount Adult School. And the Board of Education has a little present for the students who are here to thank them. We know Starbucks is very, well received by students, so the board has a little something as a thank you to all of you for serving this year and reporting. So if we could start with Ava Guevara.
Sure. Eva Garava from Paramount High School West Campus, please.
Good evening, Board President Gomez, board members, Superintendent Dr. Perez, Executive Cabinet, and audience. It has been a privilege to represent Paramount High School West Campus and the class of 2022. Congratulations to our 82 students who took the AP Human Geography test on Tuesday, May 14th. It was a long test, but a great end to our year of learning. This week, we are challenging each other on current topics and representing different countries in a Model United Nations meeting in our finals. Our annual night of recognition was held on Thursday, May 16th, where students from the class of 2022 were recognized in front of their peers, parents, and staff. Over 100 students were celebrated on this special evening. At the award ceremony, Diana Aguirre and Luis Reese were named co-principal award winners for outstanding achievement during their first year of high school. Our visual and performing arts had a successful dance recital as well as a musical concert in late May. Our dance students shined through their original dances under Ms. Cruzan's direction, and Mr. Navarrette's band and orchestra students treated us to a variety of songs that had the crowd clapping along. Summer school begins on Monday, June 17th for current students to get back on track as needed, and we are excited to welcome the class of 2023 to attend our summer bridge classes. On behalf of our principal, Mrs. Salcido, staff, parents, and students of West Campus, we would like to congratulate Principal Mr. Ono for his years of service in education. We wish you all the best in your retirement. Remember, once a pirate, always a pirate. Last but not least, we would like to congratulate the class of 2019 on your graduation. You did it. Thank you again for this opportunity to serve as the West Campus representative this year. Have a great evening.
Ava, we have something for you.
Thank you, Ava. Next would be Secura Ponce from Odyssey STEM Academy.
Good evening, Board President Gomez, Superintendent Perez, members of the board, executive cabinet, and community members. Exhibition just ended, and we got a chance to prove our learning to our advisors, fellow scholars, and our families. I was able to see how my classmates have grown in confidence, and it inspired me to achieve more. Over the last 2 weeks of school, we've been submitting more evidence to prove our learning and bring up our grades. Those who've reached advance in everything, me, have the opportunity to work on an intense New View Studio project known as BattleBots. We're split up into 4 different groups to create a robot that battles other bots to claim the winning crown. My team's robot is designed to scoop up the opposing bot and throw them over our own. The actual competition is going to be on Wednesday. On the last day of school, we're going to have our end of the year Olympic competition to see which advisory is the best. The other 5 advisories are trying to steal our advisory's trophy, a sextant, which is a navigation tool sailors use to find their way along their ocean adventures. We've landed at a stopping point in our own adventure as we complete our very first year here at Odyssey. We founded a new school, and we've made a multitude of new friends and gained a lot more knowledge. Next year, we'll be able to continue our journey and further explore the vast ocean of Odyssey. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sakura. Next is Jasmine Hernandez from Paramount Adult School.
Good evening, President Gomez and members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Perez, Executive Cabinet and guests. Thank you again for the opportunity to share all the wonderful activities occurring on our campus. First, the phlebotomy students completed successfully their 12-week course for the spring semester. We had 18 students complete the course and take a national exam. We are proud to report that 14 of the 18 students passed the national exam on their first try. They are now ready to participate on their externship and work at a clinic or at a hospital. In addition, the cosmetology students concluded their first semester in the program through our partnership with Compton College. As part of their grade, the students demonstrated their skills by creating a hairstyle on their mannequin doll head fashioned after their favorite celebrity. Their presentations demonstrate how much the students have learned through the semester. All of the presentations were creative and amazing. Furthermore, we have 4 past students who are new U.S. citizens as they pass the citizenship interview. Congratulations to the following students: Yvonne Prado, Luis Prado, Laura Quintanilla, and Elena Yepes.
That's awesome.
Finally, congratulations to Esmeralda Holguin, who completed the medical assistant program and will now start her externship during the summer. Currently, she serves on the PUSD Nutrition Service team. Next, the Paramount Adult Transition students are enjoying the end of the school year as Mr. Butler and Ms. Preciado took their students to Knott's Berry Farm on a field trip. The students enjoyed the day by going on rides, eating various foods from the park, and viewing different shows and performances. According to the adult transition students, they had a blast. Next, all of 4 adult transition classes celebrated together at the Paramount Pool. We are thankful to the City of Paramount for opening up the pool for our adult transition students. They were able to swim and play in the pool and enjoy their lunch. It was a fun field day, which has become a tradition with the PAT students. Finally, the Community Day school students work on a science project in small groups. The students developed a creative, functional roller coaster. They were graded by the complexity and creativity of the roller coasters. The students also researched roller coasters and made PowerPoint presentations, which they presented to their classmates. The groups with the top 3 roller coasters received gift cards to local food establishments. The project helped the students to learn to work together and support each other through the process. As you can see, there are many wonderful things happening at the Paramount Adult School, PAT and CDS. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Jasmine. Now we'll go to number 2, Employee Representative Report, reports on contractual issues and/or items of interest to bargaining unit members. Is Kim Gifford here? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Students, you may be released. Thank you so much for everything you've done this whole year. Congratulations, and hope you enjoy graduation if you're graduating. If not, we'll see you next year.
Good evening, President Gomez, Superintendent Perez, School Board, Cabinet, and a room full of wonderful people. 3 more days, but we aren't counting. A much-deserved summer is coming our way. I saw a meme this weekend that read, "Teachers don't have summer off, they are in recovery." This time is spent reconnecting with our loved ones we haven't seen since September, catching up on those movies and TV shows that everyone's talking about. I hear there's some new show called Game of Thrones. I'm looking forward to watching. As you know, this is my first year as president, and I'm so happy I survived without too many cuts and bruises. It's been a learning experience every single day. But I am more proud and honored to represent the teachers of Paramount. I am looking forward to the summer so I can get organized and prepared and get ready for the start of next year, and I have a little experience now. This last month has been full of celebrations. Since our last board meeting, we have had the Star Awards at P Park, at West Campus, retirement, year of service awards, scholarship celebrations. People are going to think we're a district that's always having parties, and it might be true. But to be honest, we have a lot to celebrate, and celebrating the achievements of our students, our teachers, and our veterans are important. As you can tell, I love PUSD, and as I know, so do you. Have a great summer.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can ask.
Is there someone here from CSC? No? Okay, just want to make sure I didn't leave them out.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll go to item number 3, board members report of visits to school, conferences, attended or scheduled meetings. So we'll go with Board Member Garcia.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I wish I was there. I miss everybody. I just wanted to report that even though I'm not at the programs and stuff going on, I still keep in touch with the Topeka Sister City. And I just wanted to announce that Paramount Topeka was proud to award 5 scholarships in the name of Ethel Hilliard Memorial Scholarships. One went to Joycelyn Pena at Paramount High, $1,000. Stephanie Garcia, Paramount High, $250. Anthony Rodriguez, Paramount High, $250. Andrea Mercado, PHS High, $250. And we gave Vanessa Garcia from Buena Vista $250. And I just want to say I'm really proud of all of our students, and I'm especially proud of the Buena Vista who tried so hard because they have been given a second chance to vote. I just want to say congratulations to them. I also, I don't know if any of you have listened to the Odyssey podcast, and with Courtney Kane and Hunter Simmons. It was actually quite interesting and very informative. And so if any of you haven't listened to it, log on and listen to it. It was quite interesting. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Garcia. Next would be Board Member De Leon.
Thank you. Welcome and thank you for attending our school board meeting. I am pleased to see you all, and I appreciate all those individuals who address the board. Your participation and feedback that you give us is valuable. Although the board cannot engage in public discussion per Governance Code sections 54950 through 54963, staff will follow up and address public inquiries. If in any case you do not receive a follow-up, please email me through the district's email located on the district's board page and hold me accountable to ensure you receive a follow-up. You elected me to take a bold stance to transform the way we view public education, not to go with the status quo. My commitment is to the pueblo, the community, and the people. Nevertheless, on May 15, I participated in the Star Awards, where the district recognizes staff on their excellent work. Michael Naruco won an award for Administrator of the Year, Kelly Gray for Support Provider of the Year, Andrea Canela for Classified of the Year, and Felicia Akuma for Teacher of the Year. On the next day, I attended our first environmental committee meeting where we discussed the following: testing results of multi-metals and hexavalent chromium in our classrooms, testing the water for lead per Assembly Bill 746, which testing should occur no later than July 1st, 2019, and about mosquitoes, which affected our students and staff last year. Furthermore, we agreed to collaborate with the City of Paramount for the city to notify its residents of the mosquitoes and solutions to reduce the mosquito population. On the other hand, I want to make you aware, if you are not already aware, that the district applied for a grant to receive MERV 16 filters for 7 of our schools. I also discussed my concerns for a backup plan and long-term plan on purchasing MERV 16 air filters. I asked Mr. Frutos for the data on the proportional cost of MERV 10 versus the cost of MERV 16. It is fair to note that we have not received an actual hard copy of the estimated cost for all schools since our December 2018 board meeting request. A member from the cabinet presented in a future board meeting an exaggerated price for the MERV 16 filters. However, no proof of the cost has yet to be presented. Lastly, during a more recent board meeting when representatives from IQ Air did a presentation, I asked for an estimated cost of MERV 16 filters. The consultant answered that the IQ Air would have to come out to the schools and then provide the district with the total cost for the air filters, which are only available through IQ Air. I requested that the board be updated on this matter. More importantly, we continue to have monitors from the Air Quality Management District, also known as AQMD, with data that demonstrates an elevated number of hexavalent chromium. So why are we not purchasing HEPA filters for the 300 AeroMax air purifying machines? Moreover, it is essential for Dr. Perez and the members of the cabinet to follow through with the directives given by the board and follow up with the board regarding all matters. On a happy note, I attended an event that recognizes staff for their years of service and those who are retiring. I'm pleased to know many individuals are working tirelessly for many years. I wish for those who are retiring to enjoy a well-deserved retirement. After this event, I attended Paramount High School to see the Oz show, which was terrific. By May 28, I attended the senior award ceremony where I was thrilled to see so many seniors receiving awards. I was also honored to see my niece recognized for her academic achievement. By the following day, I participated in the Forum on School Safety. It's great to see community collaborating with President Gomez and coming up with solutions to ensure our students are safe and feel safe. President Gomez will conduct these forums every 3 months, and I only hope that we continue this process to continue receiving parent input and parent involvement. By June 1st, I was honored to attend the Heritage Festival, where our district honored the 10 top students from Paramount High School, 9th through 11th grade. I was honored to see my nephew recognized as a top 10 student for his academic achievement. My only hope is, besides recognizing our academic achievers, is to recognize our students in special education who are successful in other areas. For example, recognize students who are not on the diploma track, who have successfully obtained a job or have successfully learned independent living skills. I want to open a forum to collaborate with parents, students, and teachers to learn more of our students' success in the special education programs. Lastly, I met with Mr. Frutos to go over the budget, and on a different day, I met with Dr. Starks to review the LCAP, which is the Local Control Accountability Plan. Prior to meeting with Dr. Starks, I did attend 2 LCAP meetings, and I won't take more of your time, but thank you.
Thank you, Board Member De Leon. Next will be Dr. Hanson.
Hanson. Wow.
Sorry.
Wow, guys.
Board Member Hanson.
Wow. I've got kind of a tickle, so
You should have just said thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now with Dr. San Miguel. Yes. I also attended the Star Awards and want to congratulate everyone who was honored. The Chamber of Commerce held a Women in Business Forum recently, and I was pleased to see that one of the participants in the forum was a graduate of Paramount High, and she's a Superior Court judge. I was really pleased to spend some time with her. Also, the retirement and service recognition event. We're going to miss some of these folks, and I'm trying to get around to those that I've known for a long time to try to give them a hug and wish them well. With Board Member Cuenta, we attended the Paramount High School musical presentation of Oz. Those kids were incredible, and I just want to congratulate them and their teacher who did such a great job. The senior awards at Paramount High School, we need more risers. There's no doubt about it. We have so many students with high honors that they're crowded in there, so it was a great evening. I attended the LCAP year-end meeting, looking forward to the presentation. And the Heritage Parade and Festival, there was just nothing more special than seeing our students and our parents and our band and folks from our community in this. And got so many great comments back from folks, and it was
It was a great day. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Board Member Hanson. Now we'll go to Board Member 40.
Oh, you guys are a tough act to follow. So I was an honor to attend the Oz play at the high school with Mrs. Hanson. I also attended the ad hoc committee meeting with the city. So again, it's an honor to sit in and listen and really, learn so I can make better choices for my community. And the last announcement is that I was able to be a delegate for the Democratic Party in Sacramento. So again, it was an honor to represent not just my views, but the views of my community. And I look forward to taking what I learned there and bringing it back here. So thank you.
Great. Madam President?
Yes.
I forgot one thing.
Sure.
The Annie presentation over at Zamboni School. Oh, my. That just took your breath away. That was
Yeah,
incredible.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Board Member 40.
Thank you.
So now it's my turn. If I was retired, I'd be doing way more than what I've done, but boy, I was busy this month. First of all, thank you everyone for attending. Hopefully more communities could come out, more community residents could come out to our meetings. But thank you also for the ones that are online and do view us to YouTube. I saw that we have about 290 views just for last month. So, little by little, we're getting there. Hopefully we'll get live stream because that's what I've been hearing that people want, our residents want rather. So thank you everybody who's watching us. I attended quite a few, so I'm going to go down the line here. I attended the 2019-2020 Star Award where staff was recognized for their dedication and commitment to educating our students. I not only want to congratulate those staff members that were awarded the STARS Award, but to all staff, classified, certified, administration, for all they do on a daily basis. We really have to thank each and every one of you. Number two, I attended the 2018-2019 Veteran Employees and Retirement Celebration, in which we celebrated employees with 20 years of service and above. I would especially like to congratulate Jose Gomez, who is a teacher at Paramount Park, and Alma Moises, who is the adult ed counseling technician in the adult school. Both Jose and Alma celebrated their 40 years of service with the Paramount Unified School District. Thank you and congratulations. Then I attended the first generation 4-year college night. It was great to see so many first generation students going to college. I understand their struggles that so many of them have gone through to get to where they are at. I just encourage them to never give up. As I always told my children, it will be 4 years with or 4 years without. Time will still pass. I now say it to my grandkids. As Michael Jordan once said, obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or walk around it. I would also like to congratulate everyone who put this event together, especially Lourdes Talamantes, because this was her idea. She is also a first-generation student, so is Dr. Perez and Principal Onos. I look forward to attending this event next year too. I attended the play Oz that was presented by the Theater Arts Department and Drama Club at the Paramount High School. Wow. What a great event. It brought back memories of when my daughter was in the Oklahoma play in Paramount High School. I also attended to watch the play Annie at Zamboni Middle School. This was possible by the partnership with Zamboni and the Turnaround Arts. What a fantastic event. The students were marvelous. This was Zamboni's first year, and I can say that they just raised the bar for next year. Looking forward to the next year, I'd like to congratulate Principal Sue Sikali and Assistant Principal Kim Chavez and the Turnaround Arts for what they've done. I look forward to next year too. I attended the 2019 Senior Awards. I'd like to congratulate all of our 2019 scholarship winners. Thank you to all the donors and everyone who put it together. I'd like to remind all of our seniors who are graduating to remember you are Paramount High School alums. I hope you come back and let us know what great things you are doing. I also attended Harmony Project. What a fantastic program. It was for the fifth through K through fifth grades that play instruments in our district. Each grade level had a different instrument, and at the end, the whole district came together and played for us. What an awesome job. My favorite, though, was the song Shark.
Baby Shark.
Baby Shark. That was awesome. My granddaughter, which I'm kind of embarrassed because I told her, film it. And then I started like this and she filmed me. I said, I didn't say to do that, but it was really good. We all had a ball and the room was full. I congratulate all those students and look forward for them to continue with their music instruments. Last but not least, I had an open forum on school safety. There were about 18 adults who attended, and Lieutenant Barragon with his deputies. My goal is to have these open forums are to create transparency and accountability and allow parents and community to come together to hear the concerns of one another. I plan to do these every 3 months. My next meeting will be sometime in August. Though there were not that many who attended, I have heard only positive feedback on these meetings. I heard back from constituents that we should have a forum in the middle school, especially for those 8th graders who will be transferring to the 9th grade. I look forward to doing those too. So thank you. As I mentioned, if I was retired, I'd be going much more, but that was a lot for me. But thank you very much. I look forward to the graduations this week. I plan to go as to many as I can, and I look forward to being there. Thank you. Now we will go to superintendent's reports on visits to schools, conferences attended, and legislation, meetings and or activities scheduled throughout the district, recognition and accommodations.
Thank you, Madam President. So this evening, I want to say ditto to all of these activities that we've had in the district. I've had the honor and pleasure of participating in them, and we have the most talented students in our district. It's really quite unbelievable. And we have some very hardworking students too. One of the things that stands out in my mind more than anything else is how many students we have that are graduating with high honors at the high school. So at the awards assembly, students who have a 3.75 to 4.0 GPA received a stole, and we had to keep getting out of the way as we were calling the students and putting their stoles on them. And giving them a certificate or whatever they received. But it was so many students this year. I've just never seen so many students receive high honors. So I am so very proud of our graduating seniors and of all the hard work that our teachers have done this year. Every year I know it gets harder and harder because the needs of our students get more and more intense, and we prepare ourselves even more to try to meet the needs of our children and our families so that we can educate them and they are successful. So everyone in the system is working very, very hard, and I just want to express my gratitude to our teachers and our administrators, staff, cabinet, for all of the hard work this year. Only you know if you've walked in the same shoes, right, as a teacher, as an administrator, as a student, who achieve high honors, how hard you have all worked. So we should all be very proud of ourselves, and I want to thank the board for their support of our students. The Harmony Project, we started 2 years ago, and our students in 4th and 5th grade have a wonderful opportunity to have free music lessons. They learn how to read music and play an instrument, a band instrument. When we started this project, we thought maybe we would open with a pilot of about 2 or 3 elementary schools, and our parents responded in such a positive way that we immediately opened it to all the elementary schools with a waiting list. And so we have students in 4th and 5th grade learning how to read music and playing an instrument, and that was what the Friday night concert was all about. So we were, as President Gomez shared, we were very proud of our students. We know that students who can read music do better in math and with literacy as well. The research has shown that. So we want to continue to support our students with the art and music education. This is the first time we ever had a middle school performance, Annie, that I know of in our district, and I was incredibly impressed with our students and how they felt free to express themselves and sing during and dance during such a performance. So we have a lot to be proud about our kids. They're just amazing. So this evening we have some recognitions. I want to quickly go through these. We have a wonderful program in our district called MESA, Math, Engineering, Science, and Achievement. And this program is a wonderful program in collaboration with Cal State Long Beach, where our students meet on Saturdays and days after school, and they work on projects related to these areas. It's a program that we fund through the support of our Board of Education for our students. It used to be funded by Governor Schwarzenegger, and he cut the funding for that during lean years. But the board in this district decided to continue to fund it. And I know it provides a lot of benefits for our students. So a lot of students in Southern California participate in MESA. And in our district, over 300 middle school students participate in MESA. So then they have this huge competition. And it's a competition that is statewide with Cal State Long Beach. And this particular competition, so they bring it down to regions, and we have 5 local districts that the students compete. Now you can imagine, we have over 300 students that compete with 4 other local districts. We had 2 of our students actually win the award for public speaking, and these students worked on a presentation to pitch an idea for a new MESA competition that students across the country would participate in the future. So let me share with you a little bit about MESA. The activities our students are involved in on the weekends after school are competition type activities. They're hands-on, including design, construction, and testing of, for example, a bridge, an airplane, glider, a prosthetic arm, a machine designed and constructed to launch a ball the farthest distance. These are the types of scientific engineering type of projects they work on. Other contests require a demonstration of advanced math, as well as presentation and public speaking skills. And our students that hopefully are here this evening, we want to recognize them, and I will call them in a moment. But before we do that, the people who make this possible for us to work with MESA students are our teachers, who are teacher advisors. And I first would like to ask the board if you would not mind coming forward to recognize these students. We have a few recognitions, but are any of the advisors here this evening, the teacher advisors? Oh, I think you did. Well, you're going to have to come forward, Mr. Jackson, because this is a large group of teachers and it's over 300 students, but it's Mr. Jackson from the district office who coordinates MESA for our district. And we're very grateful. And I would like to say also that one of our teachers at Jackson, her name is Deb Woods. She actually received the Advisor of the Year recognition from Cal State Long Beach this year as well. Go Jackson. So board members, if you would not mind coming forward, I'm going to call the names of these students who are hopefully here with their parents. And we have several recognitions. Darrell, would you come forward as well to recognize Genesis Galarza? Genesis Galarza. And Luis Rivera. This is Genesis board members, and this is Luis, and they are 2 of the top students with MESA among 5 districts in the region. We have a certificate for them. Luis, would you shake the hands of the board members, because we're very honored to shake your hand, and we want to congratulate you. Public speaking, both of you, yes. have a round of applause for the And you're a picture taker too, but
Terrell, you want me to take?
I'd like to, the parents of Genesis, are you here tonight? Yeah, they're recording. They're recording. We won't interrupt that recording. If not, somebody can send us the pictures. Thank you. Definitely wait for mom. All right. So with the parents of Genesis, Galarza, please stand. Please stand. We want to. Congratulations. And the parents of Luis Rivera, are you here? Yes, congratulations to you all. Thank you, students, very much for being so successful and representing us so well. Thank you. Congratulations. That was a great summer, too. All right. So board members, we have a few other presentations. This has been a year for unique awards, academic achievement awards that have been given to our schools for closing the achievement gap, for serving underserved students. Very, very unique. So that's why we keep coming back lately and giving you an opportunity to recognize these schools for these special achievements. So as you know, the last time we recognized a few schools for receiving an award for closing the achievement gap and serving underserved students. And so this time we were notified by the Education Results Partnership and the Campaign for Business and Education Excellence, the CBEE. Try to say that 10 times very quickly. And what they are honoring are schools across the state who have achieved the following. Actually, it's nationally. I'm sorry, it's not across the state. It's national recognition. Schools that have outperformed other schools with regard to using evidence-based instructional practices, a defined system-wide mission of college and career readiness for all students, and investment in human capital, in people, thank you, and a maintenance of data and assessment systems to monitor school and student performance, resources and guidance to support the school's efforts in preparing all students for college and career. So, through their national research, they have found that we have two schools who have a common set of success factors in these areas that I have mentioned. They are regarded as high-performing honor roll schools and districts, and these schools have reached these type of objectives in serving their students and serving their community. And these schools are none other than Lincoln, Dr. From Lincoln, please come forward. You are here.
forgot our pom-poms.
We are going to take a picture with you all, and then I'll call the others. Hello. You stay in the front. Oh, yes. Double row. Incredible.
T-shirt number 163. She's got to do it. Okay. That's super cute. Classic.
And the next school is none other than Gaines Elementary. And all I can say is, weren't you all just here? Getting another award? Congratulations. Yes, indeed. Congratulations. I received a letter from the Flippin Group, which is an organization that works with children and schools across the nation, providing training to teachers on how to create a learning environment that is positive, that is inclusive, and that is caring through best practices for teachers to utilize when working with their children. That organization or training is called, training is really not a good word because it's more about a philosophy for working with students, and it's called capturing kids' hearts. So schools across the nation have been trained in capturing kids' hearts, for lack of a better term. And they have a team that goes around the nation and they look at schools that are implementing the capturing kids' heart strategies. And to hear, I wish we had time for you to hear the stories because it is very transformational, not just for the children, but also for the teachers as well. Very, very unique and wonderful program because we know that, reducing the amount of conflict at a school is more than just about, suspending students, as we know, or putting them in a classroom or a portable, or citing them as we unfortunately have to do at the high school sometimes. Those measures don't really work to transform and change behaviors. What really changes behaviors is the relationship that we have with children, the relationship that we have, and the power that an adult has in a child's life to change relationships is something that cannot be understated and cannot really be measured. But that's what truly changes the behavior of students, when they know that there are people that really care about them, and we learn strategies for working with our students, caring for them, and having somebody there that can listen to them. That's what capturing kids' hearts is all about. So as you can imagine, there are districts, there are schools that have been trained to use these strategies, capturing kids' hearts. I have been through this training myself. This is why I know about it. It is very, very transformational. Is all I can really say about it. But we had this group go around the nation, just visiting schools that they heard were doing a great job. And believe it or not, and I do believe it, they actually picked a school in our district to be a national showcase school for being transformational in the way, and I have goosebumps. I'm not going to cry either. I'm not a crier. But they're a school that is transformational in how much they care about their students, the way they go beyond, what is expected to meet the needs of their children. And all of them are just together on one page to save the lives sometimes of their children through these strategies, capturing kids' hearts. And that school is none other than Jackson School. So they are a showcase school now. We're a showcase school. Madam President, we have a presentation this evening by the City of Paramount for our contributions towards the PEP scholarship fundraiser that we did this year.
Sure.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. I'm here tonight representing the Paramount City Council as both a council member and a member of the City School District Ad Hoc Committee, where I serve with your board members, Ms. Hanson and Ms. Cuarenta. The city just wrapped up our annual Education Month festivities. One of the highlights was the announcement of this year's Paramount Education Partnership Scholarship recipients. In relation to that, I want to express thanks and appreciation that so many of us feel for the remarkable job that Dr. Perez has done over the last 3 years in support of the College Scholarship Program. For a long time, the annual Pennies for PEP campaign has been one way of funding these scholarships. This involved putting canisters in classrooms to collect change every month. It was pretty low-key, and we were more than pleased to receive a few $1,000s each year. When Dr. Perez became superintendent, she saw an opportunity to take Pennies for PEP to new levels. She considered this month-long drive as a potential team-building exercise for each school in the district. This was something that could bring teachers and students together in positive ways while also producing a huge benefit for Paramount students going to college or technical school. And boy, what a success it's been. Through various activities and events, Paramount Unified has, over the last 3 years, donated $250,000. This year alone, the district collected just over $100,000. That consistency has been phenomenal, and Dr. Perez has been the architect and the chief cheerleader. As someone who has made the development and evolution of PEP a priority, I can say that Dr. Perez has been an amazingly supportive force for this important program in our city. We thought it was time that we thanked you publicly.
Oh, my.
Now, I'd like you to hear from my colleague on the City School Ad Hoc Committee, Diane Martinez, who also would like to say a few words.
That's nice.
Good evening, everyone. I am here as a former member of the Ad Hoc Committee and former mayor of the city of Paramount. As Councilmember Lemon stated, the PEP scholarships were announced as part of the Education Month. This year, there were 46 of them, a record number, and almost twice the original 24 that were given out when the program began. This increase could only have happened with a huge contribution received from Paramount Unified School District, and it has been Dr. Perez leading the charge. Besides the help it provides for our college-bound students, the Enhanced Pennies for PEP campaign is also motivating in another great way. Throughout the whole month, an atmosphere is created on each campus in the district that promotes the very concept of attending college. Our kids of all ages get really excited about this, and it surely leaves a lasting impression. As a longtime educator, I have been so very much impressed with Dr. Perez's engagement with the community on every level. She even became a member of the PEP Board of Directors and has provided invaluable advice and wisdom in that role. So we wanted to share with the Board of Education and everyone else her profound sense of gratitude for Dr. Perez's commitment, not only to PEP, but to the Paramount community. Thank you so much, Dr. Perez, and God bless
Thank you.
We have a certificate for you. Would you like to come down?
Thank you. Thank you very much. We also have with us board members, our attorney, Jim Romo. He is here to talk about a few governance items and also talk about a future retreat, hopefully that we can have with, I've asked him to help us with bylaws and also with policies, as we're expecting our policies to be, while they are being reviewed by CSBA, once we receive that report, that we can move on to review our bylaws and meet on that.
Good evening, board members, and
Good evening.
Linda Garcia, who's listening in. Dr. Perez. Okay, there it is. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think it was Groucho Marx who once said, and some of you probably don't even know who Groucho Marx is, given your appearance, how young you look out there. But I think Groucho Marx said, you never want to follow children and pets. I want to add to that list tonight. You never want to follow an award ceremony where you're recognizing teachers and students for their achievements and the eloquence of our superintendent. So listening very carefully to what was talked about before, I'm going to try to tie in my presentation this evening to some of the things that happened. As some of you know, I served as a board member myself for about 10 years. That was quite some time ago, but in many ways, you never forget that experience because of some of the things that you experienced this evening. The opportunity to recognize the hard work of your employees, to recognize the achievement of your students. We care for them, we nurture them, we try to put together programs that are going to create opportunities for them well beyond the time that they spend in the school district. So I appreciate the fact that I'm sure many of you were very proud of the opportunity to recognize your students and the teachers and also your classified staff as well for all the hard work because they're really the ones in the trenches. We as board members hopefully establish an effective framework under which there can be success. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, given the fact that some of our board members are now, believe it or not, 6 months into your service as board members. That time, I'm sure, has gone by very quickly. I know early on in your term, we had a very short opportunity to talk about a little bit of your role as a board member. So I'm going to go back and revisit that a bit and tie in some of the other major concepts that you are beginning to touch and deal with probably on a small scale, but as you continue with your term, your service to the district as board members, it's going to become more prevalent in the way that you conduct yourself and the types of things that you're going to have to deal with. So my presentation is about board leadership and governance this evening. Again, trying to tie in.
I think you just have to click on the top one and it gets started.
He wants to lay it out as a slide.
picture of
On the
this.
top.
Darrell will help you. Darrell, help him.
Okay.
F5, Darrell, just press F5.
There you go.
And then you can advance.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll go down. So first of all, I want to mention that the material that I have prepared for you this evening that's now off the screen.
Darrell.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Right there. Okay. Get these two. Okay. All right. This one here. The arrow right there. Okay. Okay. As you can tell, I'm technologically challenged. But I wanted you to know that the material that I have prepared does not have a whole lot of original thought to it, meaning it's not something that I necessarily thought up. Instead, I have always relied upon materials that have been produced by the California School Boards Association, a document or publication called the Executive Summary for School Board Members, my own practical experience in working with school districts for over 3 decades, and then again my personal experience as a board member. And some of you may recognize this because I know you're either in the governance training program that's put on by CSBA. This is my version of it because I went through it years ago. It's still very current as I check against the newer publications that are coming out. But that's a major source for the information that I'll share with you this evening, as well as a pamphlet produced by the Executive Summary for School Board Members, and it's a published by the Master Teachers Project. That's what it's called. And as you can see, a very smaller version, but very small print. But in many ways, the concepts are the same. So, as you've come to learn, the role of the board member, citizen oversight of local governments is a cornerstone of democracy in the United States. And school board members are locally elected public officials entrusted with running your school districts in your community. And the role of the school board member is to ensure that the school district is responsive to the values, the beliefs, the priorities, and to their communities as well. That should be nothing new. As I heard Board Member De Leon in her remarks, very passionate about her role as a school board member, and I know that's the case for the rest of the board. So how do you fulfill this role as a board member? It's been broken down into 5 major responsibilities: setting direction for the district schools, establishing an effective and efficient structure for the school district, providing support to the superintendent and staff, ensuring accountability to the public, and providing community leadership as advocates for children, the school district, and public schools. So if you keep that in mind, and I'm sure you probably heard that already in many ways, that these are some of the responsibilities that you as board members have. The primary function of a school board is to establish the board's policies, the district's policies, which are in conformity with applicable law and regulations by which the schools are to be administered. And as I have had an opportunity to talk to the board on occasion in closed session, you know that there is a large variety of laws that you as school board members are not necessarily expected to be fully knowledgeable, but it's important to understand the scope of the laws that cover the types of issues that we deal with as in public schools here in California. So we have the education code. By the way, this is my volume of the education code. Every single statute that comes under the title of the education code is in this book. And every year it's published new because there's all sorts of changes that occur in the law. Talk about fine print. Even this close, it's hard to read. But it's, as you can see, thousands of pages long. The elections code, the laws that applied at the time that you folks ran for office, there are times where they come into existence again in terms of how elections are conducted. Should there be changes in, for example, trustee areas, if we're going to go that direction at some point in time, and how the election is, in fact, defined under those circumstances. Public contract codes, the process by which you go through a bidding process, people submit bids in order to provide services or equipment, supplies to the school district. It's all governed by what's called the Public Contract Code. Government code. Government code, we've talked a little bit about the Brown Act. That's where we find that the Brown Act, it's in the government code. The conflict of interest statutes that you as elected officials have to be aware of are also found in the government code. The health and welfare code comes into play oftentimes in student matters, student discipline matters, particularly if there are some events or circumstances where a student may have in their possession or sale or whatever a controlled substance. That's where you find controlled substances defined within the health and welfare code. Labor code, penal code, code of civil procedure, and civil code are all statutes. And they're all like this. They're in books about this size. Each one of those sections are in something of that sort. And then we have the federal laws. We have the Fair Labor Standards Act, the IDEA, which is our special education disability law, other federal statutes that deal with civil rights issues as it concerns employees and our students. Doesn't stop there. Our decisions as a board or a district can be reviewed by any one of these agencies. So the Department of Education, both federal and state, can review can review practices, can make or issue decisions and orders that then we have to abide by depending upon whether or not someone has alleged some type of violation. Thank you. Violation of the laws that the Department of Education oversees. And of course, the State Department of Education is overseeing the education code. And then we have the Federal Department of Education that oversees the federal laws. Our local LA County of Education, oversees our financial operation, our budget. So they have some ability to control, monitor, and even in some situation, actually intervene in the operation of a budget for a school district. The Public Employment Relations Board, that's an agency, state agency that oversees collective bargaining in the state of California. And on occasion, depending upon the activities of either the employee organizations or the school district, you may find yourself in front of the Public Employment Relations Board defending actions. Workers' Comp Appeals Board, Cal OSHA, Department of Labor, and federal and state courts. They all have the ability at times, not across the board, It's limited in they have limited jurisdiction, but they all have the opportunity at times to review and possibly affect decisions that are made by the board. So when we go back to the slide that says the primary function of a school board is to establish policies that are in conformity with applicable law and regulations by which the schools are to be administered, all those statutes that I talked about come into play at times. So you're going to, the way it works, there's no expectation that a lay board is going to be familiar with all those laws. So that's why it's important oftentimes, and that's why the education code allows for the hiring of counsel to help advise a school district through these myriads of laws that we have. Any questions about that? Okay, moving on. It's important for individual trustees to understand the distinction between the board and the staff roles. I think it's well recognized, been studied extensively, that the administration provides, implements the educational program, and is usually done through the superintendent and his or her staff. The board must adopt a fiscally responsible budget based on the district's visions and goals and regularly monitor the fiscal health of the district. Obviously, the board has a significant role in establishing the vision and goals of the district, and that is something that is done on a periodic basis. As a board, you have the opportunity to review those on a regular basis to make sure that, in fact, the district visions and goals are consistent with community needs, are consistent with the times, and are consistent with the law, because there are times where you have to change visions and goals because something else has happened with respect to the law. In terms of monitoring the fiscal health of the district, what that has translated to mean is that the board has oversight responsibility in terms of the budget. You have to approve the budget that is prepared by the district administration. That, as you know, has to go through the County Office of Education for its approval, its stamp of approval. They will not approve a budget unless they feel that the district is fiscally sound. They have various categories, as you may have heard, in terms of how they characterize a budget. One is positive, one is qualified, which means that you have to prepare some type of report to the county office to show that you have a plan in place to address some fiscal needs, and or negative, which we don't ever want to be in, because that's a bad situation. But there's actually an oversight agency, as you probably know by now, who oversees how you go about your fiscal affairs. And so, again, like your lawyer, you're going to be very reliant upon those who are experts in the field of putting together a budget, and through your own auditor, because your auditors come in and examine how you expend money, making sure that it is compliant with the law. That's one of the roles that your auditors have, as well as the County Office of Education. Responsibilities continuing, regularly attend board meetings and take action after careful study of the issues facing the board and after full discussion at meetings. And of course, comply with the Brown Act. We've had a little tutorial on that. I'm going to do a little bit more here in terms of a review of our responsibilities to make sure we follow the Brown Act. Make decisions and recommendations based upon the missions and goals of the district as agreed upon and articulated by the board and superintendent. I've always looked at this as our tools for making decisions, that you're going back to the mission, you're going back to the goals, and making sure that your decisions are commensurate, they are consistent with the mission and goals that the district has set. And also, what we should include in there is consistent with your policies, your bylaws, and your regulations. And I'll talk a little bit about that here in a second, because the board does have a role in policy making, review, as well as the bylaws. And that's something that I know that the district has launched into, as I understand it. The district has commissioned the California School Boards Association to review your policies, which is a good idea. It should be done periodically to make sure, again, that your policies are up to date with not only best practices, but also with the law. And then from that, typically what happens is after you go through your policies, update them, make sure that they are accurate and consistent with your goals and missions, a mission that you have set. You then you work on your bylaws to make sure that your bylaws help you achieve those goals. And so that's something that we will probably do after you've had a chance to review the comments made by CSBA on updating your policies. And that would, and I'll suggest that that usually can't happen at a normal, a regular board meeting because of the intensity and the breadth of your bylaws. If you've taken any time to go through them, I'm sure you have, you can go to sleep reading them. I do that as a living. I read them for a living, so I have to stay awake to make sure I understand them, but I can understand if there's an opposite effect. But when we get together, I would suggest, as we have done in the past, set aside a Saturday, full day, in order to start examining your policies and your bylaws to make sure they're consistent with your policies.
I believe Board Member De Leon had a question for you.
Yes.
Mr.
And I read that their questions are after, but sometimes it's like by the time we get to that.
Sure.
You mentioned to revise the policies periodically. What does that look like? Would we look at them on a yearly basis? I'm sure there's a lot of things that don't change.
Yes.
According to Ed Code.
Yeah.
But then again, there are things that might change. So what is your recommendation as to how often should we look at the policies?
On a grand scale, where you're looking at everything to make sure that they're internally consistent, about every 5 years.
Okay.
What happens is, though, in the course of a year, particularly after the legislative session, after the budget is passed, which will be sometime in July, we have new laws. The legislature consistently has new laws that then require, in some instances, that you prepare new policies to reflect the law. In some situations, it requires you to examine what you may have had. So there is ongoing review, particularly in light of new legislation, where you're looking at your policies that may have addressed the same subject beforehand and or adopting a new policy because this is something brand new.
Now, like I've noticed in our policies, they're dated 1983, 1995, a few 1995. Not really, nothing 2019, the year we're at. So I noticed like when it is revised, it'll say like 1995. There was something revised in 2017.
Yeah.
So then those are very outdated, or could.
It doesn't mean they're
or-
outdated. It means that the law may have changed, but it doesn't mean that it's
But
outdated.
usually, like for us that are new, I noticed that on the print, on the bottom, it'll say revised that day, or if they were checked. So do we have something that states that they were checked such and such year, or something that we would know? So then we're not thinking, oh my gosh, they haven't been revised since 1983.
And just to piggyback on that, those laws actually are like printed on old typewriter. So you know they're old. I mean, I don't know when the last time I was seen, but those are old.
No, I'm familiar with them because I've looked at them. I'll say anecdotally that as questions come to me, as questions come to us, and we're looking at your policies and your bylaws, and in some cases your regulations, most of them are still relevant and still applicable. The fact that they haven't been, we don't have a designation at the bottom of the page that says last revised or amended in 1994. I think I looked at a bylaw not too long ago that had a date of 1994. That doesn't mean, because as I looked at the substance of it, it's still accurate, it's still applicable, no need to change. But this process that the district is now going through the California School Boards Association, they're taking the whole view. So they're going back over all of your policies. And as a result, they will have reviewed as of 2019 and or amended or revised 2019. So everything will be reviewed in that context. And so you'll have that type of designation on it because they're doing a comprehensive review of your policies. And again, just to emphasize, as the policy-making body, you, the governing board, you will have the opportunity to review, to ask questions about the policies, and then certainly as we get into the board bylaws, that are another means by which we effectuate or implement those policies, definitely input from the board on those.
Do we know how long that usually takes?
The review?
Yes.
Usually a couple months. It's not a quick process, but I think it's usually done in a couple months. Okay, let me move on. I know that I have a
They
limited
have,
amount
by
of
the
time.
way, as an FYI, they have shared with us, the consultant that we've hired, that they will be done this month of June.
Oh, good.
Yes.
A question, Dr. Ruth. Since they get a couple months to review, do we get at least a month to review?
After they give us the report of the review, the board can do whatever you decide. And you take as long as you, whatever is your pleasure.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, again, touching upon some of the things that you probably have seen in your governance classes, one of the identified responsibilities of board members is to maintain civility and professionalism in its discourse during not only open session, but also in closed session. You know, having been with boards in the past and having been a board member myself, this is pretty important. In order for you folks to conduct your business, you can agree to disagree. And that happens. And you may have strong opinions relative to issues that you're not likely to change. That's fine. In fact, your board bylaws, in fact, encourage, and you'll see that in the policies that CSBA will be suggesting, that every member of the board still maintains their First Amendment rights to speech and to express opinions on issues. And again, they can be strongly held opinions. The key, since we are role models for our students as well as our employees, this is key. To be able to show that we can have civil discourse in a manner that allows us to express opinions, to respect someone else's opinion about an issue. I understand you feel this way about it, and still try to persuade differently. But in the end, when you vote, if you haven't changed your mind, you have every right to maintain that position. That's our democratic way. That's the way we operate. That's the way our government is supposed to operate. And we are a microcosm of democracy in action. So I don't want anybody to think that this somehow means you can't disagree, because you can't. And in fact, it's expected. It's encouraged in most policies that we all come at this with different points of view on issues. And it's important that the public know what may be your point of view on a particular issue. So expressions of opinions are encouraged and important. Base every decision on some available facts. Again, that goes without saying. And then the last part, again, this is something that CSBA, this book that I've shared with you, that I've read, all say the same thing, and that is once the decision is made, it's a majority decision. That's the way we operate our democracy. And you go forward and hopefully you can support the decision. but certainly not be out there undermining it is important. Communicate concerns, public reaction to the board and to the superintendent. I think it's important to understand that we are the eyes and ears out in the community. I know it happens to you because it happened to me all the time. Grocery store, on the soccer field, on the baseball field, at a community event. People who have opinions want to speak to you about their opinions, share information with you. What do you do with it? In order for us to move forward to try to address those issues, it's something that may be needed to be brought up before the rest of the board for consideration. It certainly should go to the superintendent so information can be gathered and in some cases resolved if possible, if there's something that needs immediate attention. But the Brown Act specifically says that you as an elected official do not give up your right to have conversations with members of the community. That is not a problem under the Brown Act. Again, it's encouraged that you do because you are the eyes and ears of the community. It's what you then do with that information that's important. But don't feel that you cannot. One other thing, I have it on a slide here, but it comes to mind right now, and that is, as members of the board, your authority is as a board. You 5 individuals can make decisions as a board. Not a single board member, an individual board member has the ability to commit the board or commit the district to anything. As a board member, and not understanding the legality of your authority, which, by the way, is set out in the education code. It talks about the authority of individual board members. The community may not understand that you're not necessarily in a position to change something by yourself. And so if you're expressing opinions of agreement or contrary opinions to what you're receiving from a member of the community, it's always important to say if you want to express an opinion or share some information, that this is your thoughts as a single member of the board. It's not representative of the rest of the board because sometimes it's not a matter that's even been entertained by the rest of the board. So it's important that members of our community understand that as an individual board member, we do not have the power to make changes, to implement things. We have a process that we have to go through, and it's best that they understand. I know that I was there. I had those conversations. What do you mean, Jim? This is important to me. I voted for you. I know you did, but I'm only one person. I'll carry forward your concern, but that's the best I can do. In fact, I'll jump to that slide here. Oops, went past it. Yeah, okay. I'm going to jump to another subject here. Oh, there it is. Okay. You can see it. Also, let me just touch very quickly on some areas. Again, you've heard some things about this probably in the classes that you're taking, as well as at the CSBA conference if you attended any of the sessions that they held up there, and that is this whole area of conflict of interest. It's one of those areas that's covered in the government code. And there is a responsibility as elected officials to disclose in certain circumstances a financial or personal interest that you have with respect to a decision that you possibly might be making. In some cases, under the government code, you actually have to recuse yourself. In some cases, meaning that you cannot even participate in the discussion that's taking place with respect to an issue. That's usually because there's some type of financial interest that you may have in the outcome of a decision being made by the board. So in those cases, you have to completely recuse yourself. In other situations, the law, and there's both provisions, there's two provisions within the government code that talk about this. In some cases, you may continue to participate, but you have to disclose that you have a remote interest or you have no interest in case people are thinking otherwise. It's very complicated, and whether or not you have a conflict of interest that falls within the definition of the law is really something that you should consult on. They're very fact-specific situations. Not all cases result in you having to recuse yourself entirely or having to disclose your interest in a particular matter. So whenever you feel that there are issues like that, bring it to the attention of the superintendent, and we can confer with a member of the board as to whether there is a conflict of interest. And that's probably the best way to follow it. We talked about this when we first met, when you first met me, about making sure that certain information that comes to you, if it's confidential in nature, remains confidential. Certainly our discussions in closed session has that protection. Whenever you're, in some cases, receiving legal advice from counsel, it has what's called an attorney-client privilege. And individual board members are not in a position to waive that privilege. It has to be by the entire board. So again, very technical. Those are situations that clearly need some advice and counsel relative to. But if you can just remember the general rules that we have talked about already, and that is conversations that take place in closed session are intended to be confidential. And then certainly there's occasion where you receive from my office, for example, a memorandum or letter that has the attorney-client privilege. And usually those types of communications are going to the entire board. Okay, your superintendent, again, borrowing upon CSBA and the other document, is the chief executive officer for the board, and shall implement all the board's decisions and manage the instructional and non-instructional operations of the district. And the superintendent serves, as you have, I'm sure, been told and have experience, is part of the district's overall governance team as well as her staff. These are some of the things that, again, CSBA suggests the superintendent responsibilities are, including promoting the success of students, advocates for and supports public education and for all stakeholders, recognizes vice versa, as I mentioned beforehand, recognizes and respects differences and perspective of members of the board, students and parents in the community, and of course acts with dignity, treats everyone with civility, goes without saying. So I'm going to move on here. So this is important. The nature of the relationship between the board and the superintendent necessitates an effort to establish and foster a relationship with the superintendent that is constructive and positive. I know that there are plenty of studies that indicate that when the board and the superintendent are on the same page, same wavelength, and moving forward, even if there are disagreements, that you can still be a very effective organization. Your governance handbook. I know that you all have been provided a copy of it. I have reviewed it and have compared it against your board policies, your administrative regulations, and your board bylaws, and the substance or contents of your governance manual, which is pulling a lot of things together in a very nice document, I think. I wanted you to know that they're all based upon your policies and your regulations and the board bylaws. Conflict of interest. I'm gonna rush through this because I've talked about it Just keep these sections in mind. Again, not that you have to study them and understand them, but in fact, they deal with the conflict of interest issues that may affect an elected official, not just school board members. This applies to all elected officials. So there's this Government Code Section 1090. Here are some of the interests, direct interest, remote interest, non-interest, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where you have council analyze the type of interest that may be involved, and then make determinations as to what would be the appropriate action that that elected official has to take. Recuse, disclose a possible interest. And here is the reference to the other conflict of interest statutes. One thing that I wanted to touch upon that's not up here because it's not a matter of statute, but there is what's called common law. These are court cases that judges have rendered opinions on cases or matters that have become before them that have to do with the appearance of a conflict. So even though you may not have a pure legal conflict, meaning something that's covered by the Government Code 87-100 or the other Government Code section that was up on the prior slide, if the public perceives or believes there's an appearance of a conflict because of your possible participation in decision making, then that might be sufficient for purposes of recusing yourself from participating. Again, very technical in nature, is based on the facts. It's not a hard and fast rule, but we also advise districts about those situations where we look at the court cases and say, based on these facts that we've been told, there may be a need to recuse oneself so that you don't create this appearance of a conflict. Again, gets very complicated. My point in bringing it up is that there are, besides the what's set out in the statute, there's also all these other rules that come into play. Okay. I'll let you read the rest of the material on the Brown Act at your leisure. I know that you've had an opportunity to apply that, use that, operate under, probably still scratch your head over some of the rules that apply, but they're there for us to follow. Questions?
You mentioned the Brown Act. So, for instance, if there's something on the agenda as governing board members, we shouldn't send an email to everyone on the board saying, hey, I feel this way about this on the agenda. What do you guys think?
Correct. That would be considered serial communications. And the way that the courts look at that, and it's actually now in the Brown Act, because the court cases have been codified and made a part of the Brown Act, is that that's considered a meeting. Whenever you have a quorum of members of the board, so 3 out of your 5, who are communicating, even though it's not at an official meeting, but it's communicating by either telephone conversation or by email, where there is considered deliberation or gathering of information, sharing opinions or thoughts relative to an issue, that would be considered a serial communication, which would then be in violation of the Brown Act, because we as a body cannot consider outside of a board meeting agendized, properly agendized board meeting subjects that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. So that's clear. What used to be cases that we followed, now it's part of the Brown Act specifically that cannot have those conversations.
So what would be the board, or let's say one of the board members, if they were to say, oh my gosh, this happened, what would be the follow through for a board member? Like,
If this were to happen, what does the board member do?
Should be reported.
To who?
It should go to the superintendent. Yeah.
And what does the superintendent do at that point?
Typically contacts council and say, I have this situation, what do we do? Okay. And in some cases, I mean, we've had to deal with those matters before. In which case, we prepare letters, opinion letters, suggested remedies if you have to provide for remedies. Remedies I'm talking about are provided within the Brown Act, so that there are provisions that deal with corrective actions or measures. There are other implications that are set out in the Brown Act too. So those are serious matters.
Now, does that only go to the one board member, or does those letters go to the whole board?
To the whole board.
Okay.
Yeah, that goes to the whole board.
Mr. Romo, could you possibly, for understanding purposes, can you provide an example of that?
Sure.
A
sure.
made-up example, obviously.
Okay. Well, I'll use as an example the court case that really started the whole issue of serial communication.
Right.
It involved a city, and the city council, members of the city council were meeting at a restaurant, not at the same time, because they knew that there were problems if a quorum of the city council was meeting at the same time without it being a posted meeting. So what they were doing is that they were meeting with the city manager, and the city manager was one by one having a cup of coffee with a member of the city council. They were coming in every half hour. So they were not there. They were not there at the same time. But what the city manager was doing was then sharing the information that he had received from one of the city council members who was sharing, this is how I will go on this issue. Can you check with other council person? So what was happening is that, and what was the problem that the court had with this, is that the public didn't know what the nature of the discussion, the deliberations that were taking place at the council level, because none of this was happening in their view at a council meeting. So the court said, cannot do that, because you are sharing information. It's the sharing of facts is considered part of the deliberative process. And if you are deliberating on how you're going to decide a issue, then that is clearly against the spirit of the Brown Act, where you're supposed to post, you're supposed to have meetings in public, you're supposed to deliberate, you're supposed to take action on an item, and the public is not seeing that. So what happened was that the legislature, we call it, codified that decision in the Brown Act. And so now, because of social media and other means of communication, now serial communication is specifically discussed in the Brown Act, and that includes texting between board members, it includes telephone conversations between board members, emails between board members, all for the purpose of arriving at some type of consensus on an issue outside of a board meeting. So whereas it started with people coming in and out of the restaurant and having a cup of coffee with the city manager, it has now gone into other means of communication that we're familiar with. And again, the problem with if that happens and decisions are made on a particular issue, you have to correct that, meaning that you have to actually bring it to a board meeting and now have that deliberation. That action that may have been taken, meaning the consensus reached on an issue, is void. Cannot be used as the basis for going forward. You now have to bring it back to a board meeting. One other thing I wanted to make sure that the board is clear on, particularly as it relates to our policy making, bylaws, and creation of regulations. It's rare that your policies or your bylaws cover everything. It's rare. You'd have a book like this. You probably already do in terms of your policies are concerned. What the law says the education code provides a board with significant powers to adopt policies, and those turn into regulations and bylaws, so long as they're not inconsistent with the law. And you can take action on matters, again, that may not be covered in your policies or your bylaws, so long as they're consistent